right. So I think probably the best thing to do would be to not panic and remember that my mic is on. Okay. What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I'm really glad that you guys could make it. I know it's been a while. I appreciate everybody's patience, kindness, and understanding. You all are fantastic, and I love you all to pieces. So tonight, I have a very interesting topic that we're going to cover, and to help me out with that topic is the one and only Stig. How you doing?
Hi, doing quite well, and happy to have a book discussion thing with you, as always.
Yes. So lately there have been, I mean, not like for the past few years, the argument's been made that, uh, these stories are outdated, they're old fashioned, they need to be updated for modern audiences. We've especially seen it with the Disney princess films, how, um, like the Aladdin is the one that really kills me because like even in the animated film, she wanted to marry for love. She didn't want to marry because it's what her father told her to do and to pick someone she didn't love. And that's a really big thing.
You know, if you think about it, right, the all the stuff that's been updated for a modern audience tends to be really, really poorly written. So,
Yes.
so it's like when they say they're updating it for a modern audience, they're actually also saying that the modern audience are retarded.
Yes, they are. They've
Because that's you can't get away with from that because it's obviously dumbed down.
It really is. And I think what makes it really hard is they've also changed the basic story behind it because it used to be true love conquers all, right? Tale as old as time. Um, it Boy meets girl, boy falls for girl, boy fights dragon to save girl. Like it's it's been it's been it's a timeless tale. It's the story of good versus evil. True love conquers all. And now what we're seeing is this love of self is what's most important. Finding yourself,
Well,
doing
it's not just
things.
that; it's self inserts from the
Yes.
writers, which is me, 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 and
Hmm.
you can't enjoy this story unless it's about you.
Exactly. And so something that um, a series that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and was, I don't know how to put this,
Crapped on.
was updated for modern audiences. So a series that we both love, and many other people do. There's a reason it got turned into a television or into a series, that it was picked up for a series, because there was a global fan base, perhaps not as large as some other fantasy series, but still significantly large. And it's didn't it was updated for modern audiences. And if you read any of the releases of it, Wheel of Time is what we're talking about on that, and its viewers are all saying the same thing following its release. Fans of the novel have commented on the series. Now I have my comments, and you have your comments. So before we scroll down and see what apparently all of us were thinking, what are your comments on Wheel
Wait,
of Time?
well, it says it's from
2021.
2020. Was the series even released then? I thought that was 2022.
No, it was 2021.
Okay. Yeah, it's well, they're probably asking hand-picked fans
Hmm.
because if a fan thinks it's better if you edit the work you're supposedly a fan of, that person wasn't a fan to begin with,
Hmm.
you know. But
Yes. So
in my opinion, though, I got hooked on this book in these books in the 90s,
Yeah.
and I read it all the way through the finish. You
Yep.
know, and it took like a decade and a half, maybe. But this is the closest thing anyone has gotten to Tolkien in terms of scope and depth.
Hmm.
Uh,
And to
like,
be clear, we are
like I
not
said, like I said
we
before the stream, The Wheel of Time has more lore than Tolkien's work did. It's not as deep, but it has more.
hmm. Yes,
But
and
it also needed more.
hmm, it did. And like we've talked about before, you can't really Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings are very much uh, they're very much their own fantasy series. So it's hard to compare them because they're not apples and apples. They're
No,
really not, because Jordan had where Tolkien rejected modernity and the combustible engine and technology in general. Jordan really embraced it. It's in his series,
a little bit.
and
They kind of rediscover how to make them.
yes,
Uh, but
exactly.
it's kept in the fringes though.
It is, but it's still there. It's not at all. It's not even a fringe when it comes to Tolkien's work at all. Like
Yeah.
it's not fringed upon at all. He doesn't.
Well, technically, uh, Tolkien didn't write fantasy. He wrote alternative myth and history for Europe. So he didn't see it as fantasy. He saw it as
A
myth.
secondary world, yes.
Yeah.
And we could have an entire stream about just that. But
Yeah.
what we're gonna focus on for this part is when and by the way, when we say that this is as close as someone got to Tolkien, we're not talking about the series on Amazon.
No.
We're talking about Robert Jordan's books.
The,
So
the, the Amazon series is probably the furthest from, oddly
yeah,
enough.
though it's very similar, funny enough, to Rings of Power, as I like to call it, Trop. Um,
Oh yeah.
re- so Wheel of Time viewers are all saying the same thing following its release. Should we see what all of us said, Steve, when we watched it? It's a
Yeah.
new epic.
Let's refresh our memories.
The new epic fantasy series Wheel of Time released its first 3 episodes on Amazon Prime on Friday, and viewers of the show are all saying the same thing about it. Fans have taken to Twitter to praise the cinematic quality of the show as well as changes made from the novel series. Mm,
Yeah, this is basically a kind of like a hit piece
the
article disguised as praise. You
this
know,
this is the amount of shill and the amount of cope
yeah,
that
it's
that has to happen here
this
is
is this is just the article pissing on the people who actually read the books and
it
complained
really
about the
is.
changes.
It truly is. Like right here. Okay, one person tweeted, "Wheel of Time is becoming the new talk of the town. It totally deserves it. World building is so great, and I love how it focuses on so many characters." Um, I, I, oh god, the world building in this is a joke. This series is a joke compared to what it is in the books. You are left you're wanting so much. It's unbelievable how much as a reader you're like, this is insane. A third person agreed, writing Wheel of Time is escapism at its finest. It's just so well done.
Yeah, if you want to escape from the books, then
Yeah.
yes.
I'm I'm betting what I find funny at I there's no screenshot of these tweets and there's no
Yeah,
link to them. And here's the thing. You can't you nobody talks about this series. It got announced that season 2 is uh is
oh,
returning on September 1st,
fun
and
thing.
it didn't make a wave.
I announced this series on a stream 2 years before it was officially announced.
Mm.
And the upcoming Raymond Feist one too, Rift War. They're fucking around with that one as well.
I know they are.
And there's a Brandon Sanderson one,
No.
Mistborn.
No.
But he is involved.
Yes, well, he was allegedly involved with this too, and so was Jordan's widow, and look what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like atrocity doesn't even begin to cover what this did. Yeah, Chrysanthus, like 3 whole people said it was good, so it's good. Like this stuff breaks my heart because you have people who've never read, and like here's the other justification that I hate. Well, who cares if it's not like the books? It's going to get people to read the books, which is great because then it gets more people to read.
No, because nobody's
so flawed.
Nobody's going to run away read 14 bricks if they think the show is accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too is I remember so many of these people were just obsessed with who was going to sleep with who or who was going to kiss who. Like it was just a bunch of shippers. And they were upset when their ship didn't happen. And I'm just sitting there like, how can that be like how could that be what you care about? And then I have to remember that these people have not actually read the book, and we're going to see if we can get away.
This is a pattern. It's a pattern that started with Twilight.
And I still need to watch those.
And then it moved over to Disney Star Wars. Because they have the Kylo and Rey shipping, and then the Finn and Rey shipping. They basically go from franchise to franchise with the shipping.
They're like locusts. That's what they are. They're shipping locusts. Reverend the Goose, there are 14 bricks. Well,
15 if you count the prequel.
Yes. But it's so
And you know what else?
Stig might disagree with me, but I would recommend reading Eye of the World, like reading the original 14 and then going back and reading the prequel. That's just me, though.
Yeah, well, because there were supposed to be more prequels, 2 more, I think. And Jordan passed away. So we have 1 prequel that is basically a backstory for 2 of the characters. Well, 3, but it definitely is skippable. Mm-hmm. But this book series, though, also has a soundtrack.
Yes.
There was a CD released, and the music in it was also used in the video game, which is a great video game in my opinion. For some reason, they made it a first-person shooter, though, but the atmosphere in it, they nailed it.
Yes.
They truly 100%.
Did. I like even this trailer. Here's the other thing, too. Everybody's talking about that's the most color you're going to see in this entire series. Jordan's world, when he describes it, when you read it, it's so vivid, it leaps off the pages. This looks like a tavern this is just a mountain range that could be anywhere. Yes, it's vast, and yes, it's beautiful, but they muted look at how muted all the colors are. Look at how muted this town is. It doesn't make any sense, especially when you read his depiction of it. It's devastating.
Look at the ground. Look at the ground. It doesn't look traveled upon by wagons and horses. It's like they just built it and then started shooting.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a point where Rand talks about how he's kicking. It's like he's kicking the water that's in the wagon ruts, or he's like hopping over the wagon ruts as he's like skipping and playing. Like he remembered doing that as a kid. He's having these flashbacks because he's walking back to his barn where he lives with his dad, and it's it's just him and his dad, and the story like. Just what Rand goes through in the first 2 chapters is just amazing. Like that is enough to start you on a transformative character arc. Like that would be enough to change a person. And that's just the beginning.
The way it starts, though, the first chapter with Rand really adds a mystery right away.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Because of that certain writer that shows up.
Exactly.
Which is eerie and awesome at the same time. It just...
And you're not sure. You're like, especially if you have read the Lord of the Rings books, you're like, okay, is this like a Strider situation, or is this a
ring wraith?
A ring wraith situation, exactly. Like you try to start kind of making those parallels. You're like, what could it be? Like, is it friend? Is it foe? Or is it just an observer? Is it a neutral party who is simply, like witnessing fate unfold, kind of, right? So you immediately are curious as to what this is, and then of course you figure it out because of what happens in the next few chapters, and you're like, whoo. But like
Yeah.
this, like, because here's the other thing. So if you look, um
I also don't think the mountains were supposed to be that
the
close, to be
shadow,
honest.
the light, it's so muted, and it's, huh?
It's, yeah, the
Sorry.
mountains behind the inn or
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't think
Mhm.
there were mountains that close to the village in the
No,
books
because
at
because
all.
remember, no, there's not even trees that close because they're scared of it. Remember, they're scared of the woods.
Yeah.
They don't go into the woods, and so like all these little details, right? And like, okay, so now we're in the tavern. You've got one girl in red, and I don't know if that's red or not. And then you've got a
You,
girl that's in like an orange top. Everybody else, like, it's so muted. This could be a tavern in any fantasy series.
it's
Any.
it's generic, but you know what it reminds me of?
Hmm.
Someone with a little bit of a budget hosting a D&D stream on YouTube. So they
Yes,
fixed up
exactly.
the background to look like a real D&D, tavern.
Hmm.
That's what it looks like. It looked, if a building did cosplay, bad
Yes,
cosplay, this would be it, I think.
yes. Or like, do you remember, uh um I think it's in the very first one of Mythica. This looks very similar to that tavern.
Yeah,
Like,
and they didn't even have a budget.
no, I think that whole film cost like $85,000 or
Yeah.
something like that. And
Mythica, though, had a heart and soul in
yeah, had heart and
abundance.
soul. Yeah, it
Everyone cared in that movie.
1000%. And then you've got, so this is just like, this is supposed to, here's the thing, these details that are in the columns, because they're like, oh, we cared so much about the set, but they didn't focus on them, they didn't illuminate them. And again, here's the thing, we have all of these, like, here, chandeliers actually give off light. I don't know how many of you guys have ever been around like legitimate
Yeah,
chandeliers, but they give off a crap ton of light. There's no
yeah.
reason. And then you've got candles on the table and you have sunlight coming through the windows. Why is it so dark?
It should be bright.
Why is it so dark? And I'll tell you why. It's so that you don't see how cheap everything actually is. It's when they tint it like this, they're able to sort of they're able to do less detail work. They're able to get away with more flaws, they think anyway. But I mean, it's like this shirt that Rand is currently wearing. First of all, his hair should be so red that it looks like it's fire. Like
Yeah,
when you read the description in the book of Rand, it his hair is so red at one point, like I forget who, but someone, like, I think it's one of his friends, cracks the joke of like, we can't take you hunting because it'll see you coming.
yeah.
Like,
And that's foreshadowing, so it's a hint.
yes,
But
it's
in
a
the show, it's just
but they didn't
the
care. He's got
no.
like a little bit of auburn in his hair, and that's it.
He's. I think the showrunners are basically treating him as a character they sadly need to have along.
Yes, yes, he is an unfortunate situation for the
Yeah,
writers. They don't want him there. If they could get away with him not being like, I mean, he is a ginger, and they even downplayed that. Like, they don't make fun. I think one time, maybe. I think Perrin makes fun of his hair one time.
Oh, Robert Jordan described Perrin as a young Val Kilmer,
Yes.
not a young Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. With raging bull issues. Like, it's just, see, and you look at all this, and again, it's just, she has all this light behind her, and then she walks in here. Like, why isn't there more? What is going on? Clearly, the light's behind her because this is all like this is lit, this is lit, this is in darkness, but this is not. Like, why is there not more light? Oh my god, who is in charge? And everybody's smiling and so happy. And look, we're gonna horses, and now there's some crying. God, there was so much crying. This is the most color, and this wasn't even in the first season. At least I don't remember seeing it. Do you remember seeing this anywhere?
No,
Like in the actual show?
the
I don't
only
remember.
well, I didn't watch it, but the
Oh,
only naive stuff at the beginning is basically that she's a wisdom, and
yep,
that she follows them.
yep.
She really doesn't do much else.
So yeah, like this is the most color in the entire show, and I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the episodes, but I don't actually remember this scene in the actual series, but it's in the trailer. So yeah, this is the most color you're gonna see, and it's not even that vibrant. So like when you look at these colors, first of all, the red, yes, it's very red, but that's only because it's between white. Like this is supposed to be so there's supposed to be so much more of it and it's supposed to be so vibrant. And what's with the yellow? Like you can barely see the yellow, and this yellow is supposed to be bright and ethereal. Like the Aes Sedai's colors, they're not muted. Like
No, they're very clear because
okay,
it's to show off their Aja.
yes, exactly. Thank you, Nick McCabe. I didn't think it was. But yeah, so these are the colors of the Aes Sedai is to show off their Aja, and it's like you can barely see yellow. I think blue's chilling out back here, maybe. I can't really tell. It looks purple. You've got a little bit of white going on. And like, but why is the yellow like yellow is a very bright color, right? I'm not crazy, right?
No, why is she even in that pond?
I don't know. This scene wasn't in it wasn't in the series, so I'm assuming it's going to be in season 2. I don't know what this is. I don't know what's happening right now.
I don't even know any of the. I don't remember any of the characters being painted like this.
No,
Never happened in the books.
it has no. It has something to do, from my understanding, it has something to do with the Aja and the Aes Sedai and all of that stuff.
The testing.
Yes. Even though this is not in the books, this isn't in the books. But remember,
that's
guys,
that's not how the tests even work.
no. But we're praising the changes from the novel. We're praising them. We got to praise them, Steve. We've been so told. All right, so yay. Okay, here.
That's a lie.
I hate this so much. It's not based on the best-selling book series. It should say stole the title of the best-selling book series.
It took the title and the character names.
Yeah,
and
character names.
And then they put them in a sandbox.
This, by the way, if you guys, I'm going to show you how much this recycles. If you give me one, I should have had this ready to go, but I'm bad like that. I want you guys to look at that, and I want you to think to yourselves, does that look familiar at all? Is there at any point in some other...
It looks like Numenor.
Thank you.
Power.
Yep, it absolutely 100%
is it?
does. It is. Hold on one second. Let me find the clip of what's her face.
So they basically just copied and pasted from the Wheel of Time onto Rings of Power. Well, even I spotted it.
Yeah, it's not good. It's in their trailer as well. It's when she's walking down. She's walking down the path, and she looks up because the leaves are falling. Hold on, let me find it. And of course, I'm not going to be able to. So I'm going to have to do this. And let me find it this way. Audience, you're such a great audience. You're so wonderful. I love you so much.
I believe Sam and Nick McCabe are reading the Wheel of Time books for the first time.
Woo! They're in for a treat. I'm jealous of you guys. Like, there's been some book series where I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and read that for the first time again. Uh,
Yeah, I was hooked on this series when I first started reading it. It was
mhm.
this and the Shannara books by Terry
Oh
Brooks, and
my
then
gosh.
I got into Feist. So it's just I was drowning in great entertainment. And you know what? The stupid thing is, in the 80s and 90s and the first decade of the 2000s, we were getting so many books, video games. Star Wars was doing great with the expanded universe novels, and we had Dragonlance and the Dritz books
Oh, I love the Dritz books.
and all that stuff were top notch.
Yes.
And here's what we did wrong: we took it for granted.
Yeah, we did. We really did. Oh
We
my.
You have a super chat.
I do. And I'm gonna get to it in just a second. I'm trying to find this because you guys are all being so patient, and I know. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me just give me 1 second. Okay, you see that, and then just look at the walls. Okay, so there's and then there's that. So what they did,
We're only
if
seeing
you
the one of them.
oh, that's right, because I did the hold on. I gotta do this. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at the columns. Like this took me a minute to catch. So if you look at it and then you look at this right here, they're standing in the same spot. It's the
Yeah.
same set. And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, but Rings of Power was filmed in New Zealand." That means absolutely nothing. Nothing
No, because
whatsoever.
some of it would be filmed in a studio,
Yes, some of it would be filmed in a
and
studio.
some would be CGI models.
Especially reshoots. And Miss Martin Muses, for a $20 super sticker that says you are amazing. No, ma'am, you are amazing, and I love you, and thank you so much for the support. I
You're both amazing, madams.
No, Miss Martin Muses is incredible, and if you haven't already, you should go sub her. She's amazing. She does book streams every Saturday. I try to make it when I can. It's been a little while, but she's just absolutely incredible. She's a very intelligent lady, and she knows what she's talking about. But so this also could be like this could be any this could be any any town or any like this is supposed to be a very specific place.
It's basically a
And
generic city street.
yes, it's a generic city street, but this is
Yeah.
supposed to be the place where a lot of stuff happens. This is where Matt finds the dagger and his temptation
Is that
happens.
supposed to be Shalar Logoth?
Yep.
Doesn't even look like it.
I know. It's so bad. It's horrible.
I thought it was supposed to be Tar Valon.
Is it Tarvalin? I don't know. See, I
No,
can't tell.
I don't think. I'm pretty sure
Maybe.
it's supposed.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it was. See, now I can't tell. Hold on. Because surely that wasn't the. Hold on. Oh, now it's going to lag on me because reasons. Oh, God. Don't get me started on that costume. Okay, here we go. Is it. That doesn't look like. That can't be Tarvalin.
No, it's covered in shadow though. It looks like
yeah.
Shadow Logoth. When
It
the
has to
sun
be.
goes
Yeah.
sun goes down because there's no lamps, no
Nope.
no
There's
lights in the
nothing there.
windows.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's too dark. I mean, not that because okay, ready? Here we go. Boom. There's Tarvalin.
Yeah, you see Dragon Mount in the background.
Yeah.
This actually looks good.
This is fun fact. This is actually a combination of what is it in not Lord of the Rings, in Game of Thrones, it's
King's Landing.
King's Landing. The showrunner said they were inspired by King's Landing and
well, King's Landing and Tar Valon are two vastly different things.
I know.
I mean, one is on the coast. It's a coastal town.
Yep.
With a big bay. This is in the middle of a river, on an island in a river.
Hey, you know what? bodies of water, right? But
Yeah.
so here's where this kills me. Now you say this looks good. I'm not going to disagree with you. It's the best thing we've seen so far. Outside of the fact that once again, I can't get over the lighting. Like Tar Valon is described as almost like
The tower's wrong.
yes, the tower's very wrong.
It looks sci-fi-ish, actually.
It really does, and also it's supposed to give you almost like, at least when I was reading it, it gave me like Minas Tirith vibes, where it's the White City.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be this beacon. It's supposed to be this bright, shining beacon of hope.
Well, it's not just that.
Light.
It's the beacon of civilization.
Yes, and this doesn't do it because once again the tower. So the sun is supposed to be over here, from what I'm gathering, but it feels so, because like why is this in shadow but like this right here is not, which means that the sun should actually be like over here, which means this should all be lit up. I just, it's very, again, it's dark, and
the lighting doesn't fit.
no, the lighting doesn't fit. It's very generic. The tower is wrong. The city is wrong. The way the city is set up, because here's the wall down here. Do you see it? Down here, you can kind of see the bend right here. That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how the wall.
Well, they have so much source material with pictures of the tower and the city.
Yes. Here's the thing. If they had done this right, the first book could have taken them to 15-episode seasons. Easily.
Yeah, but they don't even go to Tar Valon in book 1.
I know.
So it shouldn't even be there.
I am aware, trust me. Which is why I'm saying, if they did it right, there could have easily been two 15-episode seasons of just book 1, of just Eye of the World. But they didn't. And they condensed a whole bunch of stuff down. And in this show, you skip so much stuff. I'm amazed that anybody can keep track of what's going on. And in fact, I seem to remember on Twitter, people were like, I really don't kind of understand how we got where we're going.
And yeah, the same thing happened with the last 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. They just went from shock events to shock events, not building them up and then contradicting all along the way.
Yes. And so that's Tar Valon. And then we get this, which is supposed to be this.
The one who's supposed to be wearing a blue dress.
Oh, God.
Who is also, her and the Amerlin Seat are now lesbians, aren't they? Aren't they? Which means 2 love stories will be cut from the story, and those stories are vital.
My favorite character gets cut out. Like, I just don't see how they're possibly going to work him in at all. And I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not okay. But it's so forced. It doesn't fit with the story, and you're honest to God, you're sitting there and you're like, wait a minute.
You know what they're gonna do? You know what they're gonna do to Gareth Bryn? They're gonna have him and Logain be gay.
No.
And that's where the love story is gonna happen. I would not be surprised. I'm 60-40 on that happening, actually.
Okay, but see, that doesn't make any sense, because
no, but you need to put sense aside and put boxes to check at the forefront, because that's what it is. Because the first thing that happened when they announced this show was the showrunner did an interview saying that he envisioned, his vision of the world of the Wheel of Time was New York in 40 years in terms of diversity. He doesn't give a shit about what's in the books. He just wants to check the boxes and get the progressive, claps on the shoulder.
I'm so angry. I'm so angry.
This could have been a masterpiece of a series if they had, actually cared about the source material.
For anybody wondering who this is supposed to be a Moraine.
Yeah.
And I will give you her character description from the book. Let me grab it really fast.
She's one of the most awesome characters in the series.
Yes. Okay, so she's described as having dark hair that hang in ringlets. She's the same age as Nynaeve, but with large, dark eyes that belong to much older woman.
Well. She's not the same age.
She's not, but
No,
she
she's
looks.
well into her 80s, I think.
Yeah, she looks like she's the same age
Yeah.
as Nynaeve. And then the first mention is that of an ageless look. She is relatively short, standing at 5'2". She is not 5'2" in this series. She's easily 5'7". And she has a melodious voice. She wears a sky blue, that is not sky blue, a sky blue velvet cloak with vines and flowers along the edges and thick silver embroidery, golden woven belt, and a dark blue dress slashed with cream. She wears a great serpent ring on the second finger of her left hand. They don't even have the ring on the right finger. And though she has been known to change the finger to be less identifiable, which is I'm sure is going to be the excuse that everybody leans on that wants to defend this piece of crud. Moraine also wears the traditional Catherian Kisira, hers being a small sparkling blue stone held by a fine golden chain. Despite being unable to lie due to the 3 oaths, Moraine will sometimes introduce herself as Mistress Alice. This is possible due to the usual Aes Sedai phrasing that makes liberal use of possibilities such as "you may call me Mistress Alice." So she's supposed to be 5'2" with curly hair.
She's on the cover of book 1.
Yep, she is. I'm going to show
she's
it.
She's actually the only one.
This is
portrayed accurately on the cover.
Mm-hmm. So now we're in a river again.
Not in the books, I think.
We're floating down a river. Nope, not in the books. But apparently she's like finding herself or something in the series. I don't remember. I'm through. Okay, this is where I lost my ever loving bejesus.
That's not Aes Sedai.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but that's not what they're supposed to look like.
No, that's not what they're supposed
to look
to
at the 3 white ones. It's like the High Republic Jedi's crap.
It's so bad. And then you can't tell, like, this is supposed to be yellow. This is yellow. That looks like poop brown. And then you have brown over here, which is the only way you know that that's not brown. The only ones who are vibrant at all is red. And of course, they're all a bunch of man-hating, man-murdering psychopaths. So the feminists kept them exactly the way they are.
How many books have you read so far?
7.
There's going to be a reveal about them.
Oh, goody. Is it that they actually love men?
I'm not going to say anything.
Cool.
But there's a lot of comeuppances happening.
Good. They deserve it. Okay, I think this is supposed to be green right here. But again, I can't tell because they look like gray. Like, is that gray?
I guess.
I can't tell.
Well, there are seven Ajas.
Yes.
Well, so, kind of 8 as well, maybe. Not going to spoil anything. There's a black one.
Yes, that I did know actually. But okay, so we've got, I think, green. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
Yeah.
So who are they? Like, what color is that?
I don't know. Look at that diversity, though. That's all that matters.
I know.
Funnily enough, it was already diverse, but it was done where it made sense.
It's updated for modern audiences, folks. So here we go. This, first of all, I have
Will Smith's wife, isn't it?
No, I don't know who. I don't remember the.
Oh, it's supposed to be the Amyrlin Seat.
Yeah, she's the Amyrlin Seat,
but it's definitely not black.
No. But doesn't matter. I'm trying to remember who played her. I can't remember. And I'm not going to take the time to look it up, but because I don't care that much. Here is my big hiccup. First of all, something that you'd never be able to tell unless you know to look for it. So right here is supposed to be all of the Aja colors.
Yeah, because she represents all of them.
She represents all of them. And even though she came from blue, she is the Amyrlin. She's supposed to represent every single one of them.
Yeah, and she's supposed to have all the colors on her, what's it called, the stool?
Yep.
Stula?
and
something.
it's supposed to be vibrant and obvious. This is so pale, it looks like she threw it outside and forgot about it for 3 weeks and then went and grabbed it really quick and the colors had all faded. Like that's what it looks like. And
Yeah.
I have serious issue because this is not how the seat is, like what she's sitting on. That's not how it's described at all. There's, oh god, so much is wrong with it. But when we get down to the nitty-gritty of it,
Well,
this isn't what she
actually,
looks.
look at the thing on her to her left.
Her left, so over here.
No, that would be her right.
Oh, that is her right. Sorry.
Yeah, and look at the smudge on the curtain thing. What the hell's that? It's like a shit stain on the curtain.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Like it's like they tried to make it look old and all they made it look like was neglected.
Yeah,
But
because
it's
that place is supposed to be tip top. I
mhm,
mean, they literally have chapters
it
about the people cleaning the place.
mhm. Yes, they
They're
do.
they're they're strict,
And
really
how
strict.
and the reason it needs to be so clean is because at any point there should be no doubt, there should be no shadow. Like they make all of these parallels and all of these connections, and it's supposed to be, again, this is supposed to be a beacon. These women, the Aes Sedai, are supposed to be beacons of hope and power and prosperity and a promise of something better. And
They're basically the Jedi.
basically,
Yeah,
and so for this place to be tarnished in any way is unacceptable, and it just looks, it looks like someone spilled coffee all over it.
yeah,
And so now we, oh god, this is the other thing that kills me. So what they're doing right now, that's supposed to be a weave. This is supposed to be a weave.
yeah. A weave is supposed to have patterns.
Yep, nope, yep, nope. Mm-mm.
It's complicated patterns.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter got Wheel of Time weaves better than the actual Wheel of Time show when Harry Potter did the Patronus charms and they started to like formulate into shapes of animals and stuff like that. Right before they become animals or whatever, like literally Harry Potter did a better job at the 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 formation and potency of weaves than the Wheel of Time series did. I'm so livid. By the way, this whole town is supposed to be like the fire, the blaze was so high that the townspeople couldn't understand why other villages didn't come check on them because the river, which is they talk about it all the time. They're like, oh well, we're not because we're not up from by the river, and I forget the name of this little town now because it's left my brain. But basically, they're like, how could they not see it? Like that's how big the flame was.
Yeah,
You
and
have like
they don't
one
even
tree is on fire.
fry the town in book one. That happens off screen later on,
Hmm.
and it's not even the Trollocs who does it. It's the White Cloaks.
Semantics. The Trollocs came and burned stuff down here,
Yeah,
and the
and they
Trollocs do.
killed parents, right?
Yes, they're
Yeah, which
because the
also
Trollocs.
doesn't happen until book five,
Yes, and
and
the
it's the
thing
White
here
Cloaks.
again, that yeah, a lot of things that the White Cloaks did, the Trollocs did right now in the very first episode, and
Which, well,
it's because they're looking for the Dragon Reborn, and the there is no question that he has to be a man. And but like the very opening dialogue of this show just pisses on men. It just pisses all over anyone who's a fan of the subject. It's just insane.
well,
So
the killing of parents'
um,
family is done as a consequence of something he's done in book one,
yes,
and then it bites him in the ass in book five.
yep.
All that whole storyline is now gone.
Oops. Yeah. So here we'll get through this. So now we're
Who's
oh
that
man.
fat lady?
Don't, I'm not even gonna tell you. I'm not gonna do that to you. Nope, don't worry about it. So here we are again. Okay. Tar Valon.
Well, they got the river stuff correct.
Mm-hmm.
So the layout of the city looks spot on, except the tower is off.
Tower's wrong, wall's wrong,
But
bridge is wrong, but otherwise it's fine.
yeah, this is not the worst thing they've done.
No, it's not. It's not. But the lighting's still off. Like, why does it always look like sunset? See, and now it's off in the distance. You can't even see the tower. You
Yeah,
should definitely.
the
You,
tower's missing.
you
And
should be able to see the tower.
and where's Dragon Mount?
You can't. They're climbing it apparently.
They're
Based
climbing
off
Dragon Mount in
based,
season.
has to be because it's not back there.
Well, Dragon Mount doesn't even look like that. We saw it earlier. It looks like a volcano.
I know. I'm saying they didn't care. They were like, "Oh, just put some misty clouds and make it a little foggy."
Yeah, we can see the far end of the city. We should have been able to see the tower.
The tower should be right there, and
Yeah.
it should be obvious, and it should be glistening and gleaming. See, I'm just, oh my god, no, I'm not nitpicking. This is stuff that's important. Oh my god,
You can't have the main landmark just not be there.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like having,
I think
all of a sudden, I don't know, the Statue of Liberty.
We're gonna keep going. All right, so see how darkness is enveloping everything. It's chasing them, right? Da, da, da. And then we got the wolves. So Perrin is supposed to be able. He has this like affinity with nature, which is why.
Well, with wolves.
With wolves specifically, but it's so that is actually one of the reasons why they're like, okay, so his power is formulating. It's coming out as this, and so. You've got Moraine Moraine reveals very little and she does it in snippets, and she does that purposefully because she's trying to provoke one of them into revealing dragon powers, the Dragon Reborn.
Well, she doesn't even know about Perrin and the wolves.
No, not in the books.
No, I don't think he tells her.
No, she knows the show.
Oh, actually, she figures it out late in book 1 because the eyes. His eyes changes.
They're naked in a pub.
Yeah.
So much nudity. I don't understand. Oh, yeah. That's supposed to be the celebration at the way. I don't know if they just had a problem getting extras or recruiting people for the show, but this is supposed to be a pretty. It's a big celebration, and there's 30 people there.
Yeah, you know what though? The guy who plays Tam, they got him right.
Yes, they did. They got Tam right. Okay. This irritated the ever-loving bejesus out of me.
So they're putting the corpses out in the pattern?
Yep. Oh,
Why?
yeah. Okay.
Oh, this looks like... what?
That looks like a painting of Tarvalin. But no, that's
looks like some anime thing.
Kinda. But it looks fake. It looks fake. Like this looks sketched. This looks like a sketch.
It is a sketch.
And yeah. No, that's supposed to be an aerial view of them in the tower. Literally, that's the Amerlin seat. Like that's
it looks like a cutscene from an old Zelda game.
Kinda. That's a little bit insulting to Zelda, but yeah. So there's that. See, she's walking. See, here's the rider, but he's supposed to be more cloaked because this is who you're supposed to wonder: is he friend, foe, or neutral?
Yeah. Okay? Now it's pretty clear that he is not a friend.
Obviously. And now we've got oh god.
Yeah, Logain.
Yeah. We've got so much.
Doesn't even show up until book 4 or 5.
Yeah. Nope. He's here, and then they destroy. There's no cream in her dress anywhere. They've utterly butchered these characters and what they're supposed to be and their basic function and purpose.
I got it.
There's a waygate, by the way.
Yeah, that's not how it is. It's in the side of a cliff.
I know.
It's hard to find. That's kind of the thing. That they're supposed to be hard to find.
Yeah, see, so shady guy in cloak. Oh, is that guy friend? Seriously, would you question? Would you be like, I wonder if that guy's friendly or not? No,
he's not even supposed to have a mouth like that.
No, that's her weaving. She's weaving.
Yeah. intricate
And now
patterns.
lightning.
Yeah. And Lan is now Asian, despite all the countries around his little country are full of white people.
Yep.
In the far north.
So
there's a little Asian country up there now.
And here's the cover for Wheel of Time, Eye of the World, with Amazon's stamp on it, and this is their cover art for their re-release of the book, which you have to dig for now. It's so hard to find.
And they have a scene on the cover that's not even in the book.
Mm-hmm.
This one is in the book, definitely, but Lan is not supposed to wear armor like that, because that's a Valkyrie armor. He doesn't have that in that book.
No, but
he has it in the prequel.
But this, first of all, it's, in my opinion, so this is the original cover.
Makes you want to read.
Far superior to Amazon's cover. And so the whole, like, as we were going through this, the whole idea behind this is the source material actually bad and outdated. Well, here's the thing. Their argument for updating it is that it's so fresh and the escapism is so well done and it looks so cinematic and the magic sequences are amazing and I love everything about this show. But here we go. As someone who has been living with these books as a huge part of my life for 30 years, I can say in all honesty, I love it. I love them. I understand the changes. I'm invested. I want more. You understand the changes because I'm confused by them. How could you? Here's the thing. When these companies take over these properties like this, when they take over the IP, they have a fiduciary responsibility to us, the fan base that made it worth something, right? They have a responsibility to deliver to us. Now, do we expect perfection? No, but we expect them to try. But when they say we're updating it for modern audiences, that means that unless you go and find the source material yourself, you don't know if it's unacceptable or inappropriate or outdated. Because the whole argument around this is, well, it's boring, it's dull, it's outdated, people don't want that anymore, and it's not what they're looking for. Well, how would they know? They haven't read it. They haven't discovered it. They haven't been able to experience it. They are simply taking you at your word because they have an expectation of trust that you, as the IP holder, are going to fulfill your duties to make this as close to the source material as possible so that it is an experience of seeing the book on the screen. So when you come out and openly admit that isn't what you are doing, what you're telling this younger generation, what you're telling these people who haven't read it, what you're telling the people who are possibly discovering it for the first time is, we're better than what the author who designed this world and delivered it to fans, and the fans accepted it, and not only accepted it, but loved it and embraced it and made it worth something. Yeah, we are actually going to improve on that. So don't worry about what was. Just focus on what we can do, because we can do it better, and the source material isn't important. That is what you're saying. So how could you possibly, you say you want to update it for modern audiences, but how would the modern audience know if they've never read it?
Well, most of the modern audience can't even read, but here's the thing. This is a timeless story, by definition. Timeless stories have magic in them, and there's magic in the writing. Basically, a writer who is an activist doesn't believe in the magic of the story and will never be able to write anything magical in the first place. Writers who adapt timeless stories for the screen and add their own politics to the on-screen version tends to, I guess, suck the timelessness out of it because you date it. And that effectively removes the magic from what's supposed to be a magical story.
Yes.
So basically, if you put your own politics in there, the magic goes away. And I mean, If you don't believe in the magic of this of writing, you won't be able to write anything magical in the first place.
Ever. And it's, I don't know. I'm I'm just a little bit
It's
heartbroken. Cal G donated on the Streamlabs side for $3 and said, "Hey, don't I know you from somewhere, miss? Could have sworn I seen you around before. Jokes aside, glad to see you're doing well, lady. Don't watch Twilight films. All I'll say is they aren't hood classics. Hey, what's good, Steve? Thank you, Cal G. But I have promised Miss Martin that I would give them a shot. And plus, I really do feel like they are, for better or worse, they were the catalyst to this neo sub, like this
self-insert,
nepotism,
self-insert writing.
the self-insert writing, the shipping, the heavy shipping, the because I remember the t-shirts. I'm team this, I'm team wolf or team vampire. Like I don't remember the names. I'm sure I will at some point. But I remember the shirts. I remember those being a big deal. I remember people, like having opinions about this stuff and being like, "Oh, well, this, that, and the other." And here is why I think, and this is going to be a whole other subject on its own after I've actually watched these films. But it's I distinctly remember after that we started getting the sissy vampires and the pretty vampires and the misunderstood vampires. And I'm like, man, what happened to the vampires that
Well,
were
actually,
gray?
Buffy did it first with Angel.
Okay, but Buffy was good.
Yeah, Buffy was good, but Angel was an emo vampire.
Okay, well, but I don't remember but I don't remember legions of bad
No,
self-insert fanfic happening after Buffy. So
no,
Buffy
definitely
gets a
not.
pass. Buffy gets a pass. Sorry, Twilight, you're getting staked in the heart with this one. This is absolutely, like, I need to go rewatch the films to actually confirm that. God
Stake
help
the
me.
vegans. Sorry.
But it's I just I have a serious problem with the misunderstood villain, with
It's done to death.
the sympathetic villain. I have that because you have to understand, in this world, some people are just evil.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, Lucas probably did that early on with Anakin, didn't he?
Well, I don't know about that. Vader wasn't a sympathetic villain. Anakin turning, like, yeah, you felt for the guy, but still, he was evil. There's no doubt. Like, he killed younglings, he murdered Jedi, he sold out everybody that he cared about and loved because he wanted to beat death. Like, it's literally it is the ultimate story
Well,
of hubris because he thinks he can defeat death. Like, he
yeah,
tells
to
Padme
save.
to her, yeah, to save Padme. He tells Padme to her face, "I won't let you die." Like, that's not a power that anybody has. And when Sidious is telling Anakin, um, that some powers the Jedi might consider unnatural, he's like, is it possible to learn these powers? He doesn't even care at this point that he's going against Jedi teachings and the Jedi order. In fact, he sees them as an obstacle, because what they would tell him to do is to, you know accept the fate that's coming. Like, you can't stop someone from dying. That's Qui-Gon Jinn tried to explain that to Anakin in episode 1. Like, nobody can kill a Jedi, and he's like, I wish that was so. And he goes through and he tries to tell him the important, like, why you have to respect life, why you need to care, why there has to be an investment, and why you should never be a Sith, why you need to make sure you have a fundamental understanding of these things. Qui-Gon understood that, and Obi-Wan understood it to a point, but not at the same depth. And so when what you end up with is Anakin comes off as a petulant, spoiled child who in the quest to stop the very thing he's afraid, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. In the quest to stop what he's afraid of, he causes it.
You know what's
Like,
kind of sad though, with the Wheel of Time show?
Mm.
It's just one out of many where they completely
Yes.
ignored the source material. I mean, it started
absolutely.
with the Sword of Truth books
Oh
in
my
a show
God.
called Legend of the Seeker, which actually was entertaining, but it sure as hell didn't have anything to do with the books. Then you have the Shannara series, which
no.
was maybe even a bigger train wreck than this one.
The
You have
Shannon series, it was so bad.
you have the final 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, which were full retard, and then now we have the Rings of Power, and
And these
sure,
are
well,
just
Willow, I guess, as well, because George Lucas wrote a trilogy of books that was a sequel to the Willow movie. That got
yeah. Well,
ignored.
he also wrote sequels to for episodes 7, 8, and 9, and those got scrapped as well. Like, here's the thing, it when it comes to the source material and
Stick to it.
and
All you have to do.
updating modern audiences, if you think the source material is bad, if you think that it's unworthy, if you think it needs to be changed, leave it alone. Go somewhere else, find
Yeah.
something else, or write your own. Otherwise, stick to what the author said, what the author wrote. Like, it's not that difficult. And
the Witcher, I forgot about that one. That one has like 2 or 3 episodes that has to do with a couple of the short stories. Other than that, it has nothing to do with the books. I mean,
well, that's the whole reason why Henry Cavill's leaving.
They spent 5 episodes on Yennefer having a hunchback, right?
Yep.
Here's the thing: that's a throwaway line in the book, one line, and they spent 5 episodes on that one. Yet they couldn't spend any on the rest of the book.
No, and it's the tragedy that involves The Witcher is, I think the games became more popular than the books, but I think when the series was made, because it had Henry Cavill in it, I'm going to be honest with the ladies in the chat. I think it's just Miss Martin Muses, but Faye might show up at some point. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. I really do think, because a lot of women find Henry Cavill very attractive, and so do guys. Like they have, I know many a guy who's like, yeah, I got a man crush on Henry Cavill. Okay, that's great and everything, but the thing is, he's being used as bait, just like they use nostalgia as bait. Because when it was, Disney's trilogy, Disney Wars, that it was glimpses of Luke, it was glimpses of Han, it was glimpses of Chewie and Leia and the Millennium Falcon, right? And you got a corrupted, like a disintegrated Darth Vader helmet flash. And then there was a few blips in there with the rest of the characters, but it was a giant nostalgia bait. And I think because Henry Cavill has, I guess, and you actually proved this to me, because you can attest to this, I was super hesitant of the guy. I really was. I was like, man, this feels like, another Clerks thing where he's just he's claimed to be a fan all his life, and then the second that he got to He-Man, that's another series that got destroyed, Masters of the Universe. It was a freaking disaster. Kevin Smith got his hands on it, and all of a sudden he didn't give a crap about the nerds or the fans or the geeks or the whatever. He just wanted to do his thing. And so I was super hesitant, because everybody was like, oh, Henry Cavill he's a nerd. He plays Warhammer. And I'm like, does he, or does he just say he does? Because it's very easy. I mean, Brie Larson gets up there. I love Nintendo. Leslie Headland, like, what's your favorite Star Wars? I love all Star Wars. Like, it's very easy to say it. It's another thing to actually be one. And then you sent me a clip of him, because nobody talks about Feist's books at all. nobody. And you sent me a clip of him talking about them, and I was like, I might be able to maybe give this guy a little bit of a chance. But I just hadn't, because I remember someone's like, yeah, Henry Cavill. And I'm like, you mean the kid from Count of Monte Cristo? And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, he was the kid in the Count of Monte Cristo. And I was like, the film version. And they're like, that's him? And I'm like, that's where I know him from. And then Miss Martin's like, oh, he's in The Tudors. And she keeps telling me to watch that, and I probably should. But she's like, he's in The Tudors. And then he, like, all of a sudden, the kid who was in Count of Monte Cristo was suddenly Superman. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I don't know if it's just Zack Snyder's directing. I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's the lack of chemistry between him and Amy Adams. But his portrayal of Superman fell flat for me. Like, he definitely has the skill to do it, and obviously he's got a massive fan base. So he can definitely put butts in seats, but whatever it wasn't clicking. You know what I mean? At least not
it's the tone of the movies. I think. I think it would have
Probably.
been good if he got to do a
Actual Superman and
kind of like a lighthearted, warm Superman movie first,
as opposed to
and
this postmodern nihilistic BS that he had to do.
yeah, because it goes dark immediately,
Yes, it does.
and there's no build up.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that must be it. Because, like, I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of waiting. I'm waiting for. But then I did see him in Man from Uncle, and he did really well in that. But I'm just super hesitant because that Enola Holmes debacle on Netflix, where he was Sherlock, and everybody, like, Netflix was like, Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes, and he was in it all of like 6 minutes of screen time.
Why didn't he whine about the source material then, though?
I don't know. I don't know if he did. I don't know if he didn't. I didn't follow that one closely. I didn't even watch Enola Holmes because Sherlock doesn't have a sister.
You know what? Henry Cavill should have played Lan in The Wheel of Time.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there now. But it's just, I feel like he's a honey trap. That's what I feel like Henry Cavill has become for Hollywood. Now, the man has chops from my understanding, and I hope the Highlander film is good. And, you know, it having John Wick's showrunner, maybe there's some hope there. And he's supposed to be doing his own Warhammer project, but it's also on Amazon. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, because for every terminal list and every reacher, we have, you know, Wheel of Time and Trop. So it's really, it's such a stark contrast with what we get from Amazon. Whoa, what's that?
Well, Netflix is doing shit now, I believe. They're struggling.
Yeah, it's because Netflix is stupid. But
Well,
anyway,
once Stranger Things is done, that's their flagship. That and Cobra Kai. Once those two are gone or done, they have nothing because they've lost the Witcher. You know.
Yeah. So I think if anything, Wheel of Time and Rings of Power have proven that if you don't follow the author's vision and try to put it on screen as honestly and as genuinely as you can, it's going to fail, because your messaging doesn't belong in that story. The story, we get told all the time, it wasn't made for you. No, I would argue that it wasn't made for you. If what you care about is shipping and representation and platforms, then make your own stuff. And we already know the reason why. But what I'm saying is, these stories weren't made for you. This source material wasn't made for you. And you have a fiduciary responsibility to provide your paying customers with what they have been anticipating and expecting to the best of your ability. And you're not doing that. And why there isn't, I don't know. I'd have to get way more familiar with copyright law and, you know, degrees of freedom and artistic liberties and everything like that. But by God, I really want to sue the pants off of Amazon or Hollywood or whoever, because they're not doing their job. Like, they have an expectation and it's not being met. And
Well,
when that happens, you know, like, I don't want to bail out Hollywood. Why are my tax dollars going and bailing out Hollywood? Why are they bailing out giant theater chains? Why are they bailing out productions? That's not what my tax dollars are supposed to do. And I I certainly am not sitting there going, yes, these projects, these items are worth saving. This writer's strike that's going on right now, how tone deaf do you have to be? Those people make in 3 weeks what I make in a year. More. They make more in 3 weeks than what I do in a year, and it's not enough. And that's not my fault. That's based on where you chose to live. So I'm going to say it again. It is not that whatever it is you put on the screen wasn't made for us. It's that this source material wasn't made for you. And if you cannot adapt it, then stay away.
well,
Stay away.
here's the thing though. If you look at the source material as something healthy, right? Because it's great, it's got plenty of fans. Then you have the activists and the shippers attaching themselves to it, and then changing it to fit them personally. And then the changes happen and happen, and the healthy stuff gets sicker and sicker. And then when they're done with it, the franchise is dead. So the shippers and the fan trenders and the activist writers are in effect franchise cancer.
Yeah,
because they kill healthy tissue that they attach themselves to.
Yep.
And
now
it's kind of a grim comparison, but it's also pretty damn accurate.
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's the thing. So they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Art is subjective. The changes that they made were indeed necessary. Okay, so here's the thing. I've taken many art classes. I have done quite a bit of research. I have taken art history. I've done all the, I've done quite a bit of academic side on it. And I've also done more of a like freelance indie take on art. And here's the thing that I really I have a hard time with, because they always say that art is purely subjective. Art's purely subjective. It's in the eye of the beholder, whether you think something is beautiful or not, or worth something or not. Now, we know that the golden ratio exists. We know that for a fact. It exists, and it's been proven multiple times. It's also been proven that overall, most people agree on. Now, you might say, oh, she's not really my type, or he's not really my type, but he is or she is attractive. That's because they fall within the golden ratio at some point. But you expect me to believe that I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't know what it's made out of. It looks like feathers and trash. This is modern art. This is modern art. This looks like an octopus tree. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I have no idea. I don't know. This looks like a foot. So I'm not sure if these are supposed to be people who are in Dante's circles of hell, or what.
It's like someone with Parkinson's disease trying to make models of the ants.
Well, it's something, but it's not beautiful. And people
are
like, oh, well, you can call it art. It's art. It's art. Like, you can't say that that's not art, because people took time to do it. Okay, well, people take time to do stuff all the time. Like, it takes time. It takes time to vacuum a carpet. Does that make me an artist? That because I have vacuum lines in my carpet? Some might argue, yes, of course that's art. That's an expression. That's an expression of how you clean. Then I have other people saying, well, that's oppressive. Why do you have vacuum lines in your carpet? Not everybody can get vacuum lines in their carpet. How inconsiderate of you. So you always get this weird, like, just insanity that happens. And for someone to look at this and say, yeah, it's art. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll say it's art, but it's not beautiful. And art is
Well,
supposed to invoke these emotions in you. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
no, it's fine. The I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because when it comes to an artist, like a real artist, like Tolkien, he's an artist. He
Mm-hmm.
wrote The Lord of the Rings. That is definitely art.
Mm-hmm.
Because, but the people adapting the Wheel of Time are not, because they're
No.
just messing with someone else's art, right?
Yes.
So basically, art is the result of an artist's personal perspective, right? But as when it comes to enjoying it, it
I
boils down
disagree.
to it boils down to people having a different appetite, right?
Okay, but there are people who are going to say, there are people who will say this is equivalent to this.
Yeah, but people are idiots.
This is the veiled virgin. And this is chiseled out of stone. Like this
Yeah,
is a technique that only 3 men have ever mastered in the entirety of anything.
that there
And
requires skill. The other thing doesn't.
skill and
And
vision. But this is beautiful. Like no one can look at this and say it's not beautiful. Now there are those who are going to look at this, recognize its beauty, and reject it and become angered by it because they can't achieve the same thing. That's called envy. That's not a problem with the artist or the art. That's the problem with you. But when you cannot tell me, objectively, because there is objectivity in art. If there was no objectivity in art, it would be impossible to value art. All art
well,
would be the same. My 5-year old smiling sunshine with the stick family would be valued the same as Da Vinci's Mona Lisa.
well,
That's what I'm
the
saying. And you
problem
have
is
people
that
who make that argument though,
you have a lot of people who wants to be artists, but they don't have talent, so they just do whatever and call
and
it
they
art.
and they
But
don't have
they're
the
not
patience.
artists.
And they also don't have the patience to learn discipline to become masters of their craft. Here's the thing. I
They're
had
not
a
even trying. They're
No, they're
just
not. They would
they
rather.
basically just look. I'm black and gay. Look at the art. You have to.
Yes,
If you
no,
don't put it on display, then you're a racist.
exactly, Charlie Stevenson. It's like the emperor's new clothes. It's the going along with an opinion to appear intelligent and cultured. It's
Yep.
it's this insane idea that if you dislike a piece of art, I mean, this is really where, the I'm offended crowd really just comes out and screeches, because when you say that this is objectively not beautiful, this is objectively not good, this doesn't compare to the veiled virgin. It isn't as remarkable, it isn't beautiful, it doesn't invoke the same
It doesn't
feelings.
involve effort.
It has no, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, you spent some time on something that I could just recreate with my kids over the weekend. This I definitely could. And it's
This is
and
just
it's
like a
not
doodle. It's like a
it
doodle.
is. And the complexity of the art really doesn't even have that much to do with it. It's the intent behind it. Here's the thing. You said that art is, the from the perception of the artist. I
Yeah.
am going to disagree, because there are plenty of people out there who are utilizing the broad and vague definitions of art, and
Well,
that
they're not
it's a work of art.
artists, so my point
No,
still stands.
that's well, but
They're
they're
claiming to
still
be artists, but
they're
they're not.
creating things from their perspective, which is what you said.
Yeah, but their perspective seems to be, well, look at this. You
Mm.
know.
Well, I'm just saying, you did say that art is from the perspective of the artists.
Yeah,
And
but the person has to be an artist to begin with.
what I would say these people are perverting art, because yes, some art is shocking, some art is devastating even to look at, like the when I look at a crucifix, because some of them are, oh my gosh, like you weep because of the detail, and you just look at the Lord and his shredded body and the exhaustion and everything that he went through, and you all of these emotions are going through you at rapid fire speed when you look at it.
You know
So
what
it
Jesus said to the Romans, though, after they did that to him?
Oh God, are you gonna make a joke?
He said nothing, but he was quite cross with them.
Oh my. Oh, I'm
So,
going to hell.
so
Oh
well,
gosh.
I am not you.
But it's it's not it's not even the complexity of the work, because some simple art, like I've seen pencil sketches that are just breathtaking, and they're relatively simple in scope. It might just be like a sketch of a face, but they're still beautiful. They're not the Mona Lisa, they're not the Sistine Chapel, but they're nonetheless gorgeous, right? So it's not even so much the simplicity behind it, it's what the intent is. And I can't help but look at this and feel grotesque. You know what I mean? There's
Look at the one on the right, though. It looks like a
that one.
Disney Star Wars character. Like a that there's a
They all
mechanic.
look they all look weird. It's just, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I just would not I would never call it beautiful, and I have a hard time calling it art. Again, I'm like,
I don't think this took a lot of time to make.
I don't think it did. And even if it did, the amount of time that you put into something is not necessarily going to cause it to go up in value. There are people who spent years collecting bottle tops, and they're no more valuable now than they were back in the day. So just because you love something, or you've spent time collecting something, or you've spent time caring for something, it's going to have a personal value to you, sure. And yeah, that's where the whole, oh, it's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No, that's a value, but you're valuing the time that you put in. You're not actually valuing the piece. When others can't value, can't place a value on it, can't look at it and say, all right, it likely took them this long with this much material. They had to study this for this much time, in order to achieve this. And then they delivered this beautiful piece of art. Like, okay, that is a skill, that is a discipline that not everybody could do. So that makes it even more valuable, because it's such a rare ability. And all of these things, all of these objective measures go into that. And that is why they are valued the way that they are. And all of that has been trashed by these activists. And it's not something, you know, art is not purely subjective. There is subjectivity to art, but you can dislike a piece. Like, quite frankly, I'm not a huge Monet fan, but I do understand the value of his work. I appreciate it. I'm also not a Picasso fan.
Well,
I
basically, that they moved the goalposts
I do.
to have the untalented people qualify.
Yes, and
That's basically what's happened. But
they would
if you go
rather.
back to actual artists, yes, it is art because it is the from the perspective of the artist. But if you have the people who are now tampering with books, movies, and TV shows and adapting stuff really poorly, uh, they're basically putting politics
Mhm.
into the forefront, and whatever art is left is way back, which means you're watching a lecture, not
Yep.
art. Which means if that is considered art, then the dictionary is too. You know?
Oh, don't get me started on the dictionary or the encyclopedia. We'll be here all
Yeah.
night. But yeah, so for art, the art, nothing in this world, absolutely nothing, is purely subjective. Even the person that you fall in love with is not purely subjective. There were objective factors, objective measuring factors that you had before you fell in love with them. Because if that person walked up to you the very first time you met him and they gave you a black eye, you're not going to love them. You're not going to want anything to do with them. You're going to get away from them. That's like a basic barrier of entry right there. Like, if you're flat out abusive right out of the gate, obviously, like, you're going to avoid that person. That's why abusers take time and manipulate emotions and try to make things appear more genuine than actually. You sound like you're banging on something, Stig. Um,
Oh yeah, it's Pamela Anderson. Sorry.
Oh my God.
No, it's a
Um,
keyword.
but my point stands that, you know, these activists who try to say that everything is subjective and all art is subjective, and you want to sit there and tell me that, you know, this contemporary art, this modern art, is equal to the veiled virgin, I'm going to call you insane, because that's what you are. I have eyes, I have objective measurements, I understand what it means to measure something outside of my own scope of preference. And this has become so narcissistic and so self indulgent that it's sickening, because you're stating that, you know, the exceptionalism that came before is so unachievable and unattainable that rather than challenging ourselves and making ourselves better, we're just going to say it's only beautiful. You only think it's beautiful because you were told it was beautiful. But I guarantee you, if I lined up a bunch of 5-year-olds and I said, tell me which one you like better. Now, some of them might go for the contemporary art. Maybe I think it would be more terrifying for them than anything, but some of them might think it looks like stuffed animals. I don't know. But I have a feeling that a majority of them are going to point at her. I really do. And I do that as an objective measure, because we as humans, we recognize beauty. We need beauty. And what liberals, what feminists, what activists are attempting to do is force you to reject beauty. Like, when you see beauty, they want you to be angered by it. When you recognize beauty, they want you to deny it, because it makes it easier for them to usurp whatever faction of life they're currently trying to invade, if that makes any sense. Because why strive to improve yourself when you can simply lower the standards and say that everything that came before was a fluke or an accident, or, you know, it was a different time and it was unfair, and we can't be held to those same standards anymore. If anything, we should be at higher standards, because we have tools that can make this so much easier. And it's just insane. So you'd brought up timeless earlier in the stream. I actually have the definition window right here. But if we look at this, oh my God, I hate what book covers have become. You and I did a stream about book covers a while ago.
You know what? I had that one, and I gave it to Teresa.
Oh, you're cruel.
And then I had her help me get the original cover, hardcover. So, well, I gave it to her though because I thought she would like the book, and on the off chance she didn't, you know.
On the off chance,
she is hooked on this series.
Oh yeah, it's a great story. My problem, everything is it's this minimalistic, low effort, single subject.
You know what? And we've done a chapter by chapter review of this book on Teresa's channel. Nobody's used the key yet.
I know.
I've actually checked. I paid attention to it. We're halfway through The Magician's Apprentice. So for the first half of the novel, nobody's used the key.
Nope. But there's keys on the cover. Whoops, sorry. Yeah. There's keys on the cover, and like it's a key, it's a crown, it's a sword, it's a map with a dagger. It's a piece of fruit, it's an apple, it's a pomegranate, it's a chess piece.
Oh yeah, often a white knight chess piece.
I hate it.
And or a rose.
And then there's nothing to do with roses or chess or keys or anything anywhere. Like, why is there a chair on the cover of your book if your book is about curtains? Like, what the friggity frack are you doing? Stop it.
And another thing they've started to do is doing photoshopped covers. It happened on a lot of the later Terry Brooks books. It's photoshopped. I'll send you a picture. It's if you've seen the old Terry Brooks covers,
Mm-hmm.
they're fantastic.
Yes.
Sort of Shadowrun and stuff like that.
I have
Now
them.
it's
Yep. We're gonna stick with Raymond E. Feist and the Magician. But Gadfly Fiction makes a point here, says beauty, the deliberate destruction of beauty, is an act of moral evil and reveals a warped mind, greed, envy, pride, jealousy, and all the other deadly sins. Exactly. This is this self-indulgence, this this vanity, this envy of what is beautiful, because you don't want to put. Here's the thing: a lot of these body positive, like anti-workout individuals, they just are lazy. They don't want to work out. They don't want to quit drinking their 60-gram sugar like I can't even call them coffee drinks. It's a sugar drink with a splash of coffee in it, so that you can say that you drink coffee, but you don't drink coffee. You drink 60 grams of sugar and, with green syrup or red syrup or whatever the heck they put in it, and then you top it off with whipped cream and chocolate chips or whatever, or 6 pumps of something, and then they put in a splash of espresso, and you're like, oh, coffee is life. And I'm like sitting over here and I'm like, my husband drinks like
it's like it's all
cups of
sugar.
black black coffee. He drinks cups. He could drink a whole pot of black coffee by himself. And that is drinking coffee. Like the these Starbucks, I don't even know what to call. Like, there's $7 for diabetes in a cup with a splash of coffee. But it's all about. I mean, that's really where the virtue signaling started. It was, oh, well, I get the designer coffee drinks. Well, I have the designer bag. Well, I have, the designer sunglasses. And it just spiraled into this insanity of, I drank all of the designer coffees and I ate at all of the, the restaurant spots, and I did all of the things, but I didn't do the workouts, and I like when I was like, whoo, got that 6th mile in. Like, no, you didn't. You strapped it to your dog and, rode on your little scooter while your dog ran, and then you took it off and you were like, almost to 6 miles. Like, that's what some of these people did. And because they're so envious of beauty, it's attainable. Like, a lot of these people, it's attainable for them. It is. But they don't want to put in the work. And because it doesn't come in a pill or in a Jamba Juice or whatever. I don't even know if Jamba Juice is still a thing. But because it doesn't come in a readily available, easily accessible option that has them putting in the least amount of effort, they don't want anything to do with it because they don't want to put in the work. It is absolutely, yes, it's sloth and it's gluttony, Charlie Stevenson. It's so bad that we've got a pandemic for sure in the US, and it's obesity. And for anybody who, is like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so strong, you're so spirited, why are you championing a deadly condition? Like, you're not going to cheer somebody for being anorexic. Why are you cheering somebody for being overweight? Those are both equally deadly. I've got friends from high school who are currently battling eating disorders. Some of them, it was anorexia. Others, it was literally they had a food addiction. They couldn't stop eating. And it's so insane to me. And that's why I always tell my kids, I'm like, skinny is not healthy. Fat is not healthy. Healthy is healthy. You need to balance your diet. You need to eat lean meats. You need to eat fruits and vegetables. And some carbs, but you don't need that many. And this whole insane thing of, cookies at lunch and ice cream for dessert every night and brownies. And there's just so much sugar out there. Like, the reason I worked in a grocery store for 4 years, there's a reason at the checkout lines that all those individual candy packets are there. It's because it's an impulse buy, it's an impulse grab.
Oh,
And
holy crap! I mean, it's like that here too. And Norwegian chocolate is ranked third best in the world.
ooh, yum.
So imagine having that
Yeah.
3 minutes away from your home, and it's right
Yeah.
there at the cash register. But
it's
you
just,
know,
all you gotta do is reach out and grab it.
yeah, and because you're grabbing it while you're waiting for your turn, right?
Exactly.
But speaking as a lazy bastard, all you have to do is move, because you can't lose weight.
Sitting still.
Yeah, the body needs to move because
Yeah,
the body has
all
to do the
these
work.
all these fat burners, like the reason that these like diet pills and fat burners, the reason that they got in trouble is because people didn't read the directions and they didn't follow the instructions. And so they'd have a diet pill instead of breakfast, and then they'd have like a slim quick shake. I don't even know if those are things anymore. But they'd have one of those for lunch, and then they'd gorge themselves at supper time. They'd have like 4,000 calories at supper, and then they'd go to bed. And then all these people started having digestive problems and heart problems and breathing problems. And it's because they were not utilizing the pills or the drinks or, anything correctly, because it specifically states you're only supposed to take one of those at midday with lunch, because it's supposed to be an appetite suppressant. It's not a meal replacement. It's supposed to help suppress your appetite so you don't eat as much. So you take it 30 minutes before you eat lunch, and then you go eat lunch. It's supposed to make you want to eat less because it's an appetite suppressant. And then you're supposed to drink an
Well,
extra
basically,
like
they were
12
too
ounces
lazy
of
to
water.
read.
Yes, they were too lazy to read the instructions. They thought all they had to do was pop this magic diet pill and the weight would just come off. And
I have the
that's not how
best.
it works.
I have the best tip though on how to lose weight. It's ridiculously easy. All you have to do is make sure that you poop more than you eat.
Oh my god, it's true though.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. Poop more than you eat.
Yep. Yeah. No, and it's just we've gotten to this place where low effort has been confused with minimalism. I'm not saying that minimalism is bad. I mean, gosh, I don't want to perfect example would be perfume or body spray. Like, you don't want to douse yourself in that. You don't want to overdo it on body spray because you're going to choke people out. You don't need excessive amounts of it. So, minimalism when
I
it
just
comes
spray
to
everywhere and hope it's enough. Just
oh my
really
god. I
get out
promise
of the shower. I would probably. I don't give a crap. It's not.
No, it's fine, but
It's other people's problem, not me.
But the thing is, when it comes to body spray and perfume, less is actually more. And that's the
I have a perfect excuse.
That's the thing with a lot of less can be more to you can get overwhelmed with choices too. Like, if you walk in and someone's like, okay, here's 36 things that you get to pick from, you can only choose 2. You're like, well, god dang, like that's a lot. That's too much. In fact, can you just give me 7 things to pick from instead?
I have the perfect excuse though, because I use the Axe body spray. Because it's the cheapest. But I'm a Viking. I suppose I'm supposed to smell like Axe.
That Axe smells like butt. But
really,
yes.
So that's where it's coming from. I thought it was actually my butt.
It's your upper lip, probably. Gadfly Fiction comes back in with the caloric difference between a pound of cake and a pound of carrots is astronomical. Oh yeah. It's also the addiction to the buzz of dopamine from the sugar rush. Sugar is highly addictive. Like, the amount of sugar that is in stuff in the US, it should be I am not up for big government censorship, I'm using this more as like a turn of phrase. It should be illegal, the amount of sugar that is in stuff. There's a reason McDonald's fries are so highly addictive. Like, look at the stuff in McDonald's fries sometimes.
Well, it's not just that though. It's when you start to cut sugar, if you're eating a lot of sugar,
mm-hmm.
and then you quit, your blood sugar drops. Your blood sugar drops fast, which makes your body physically crave the sugar.
Yep, and you get tired. So like when people are coming off of sugar addiction, like when they actually start to check themselves on sugar, the first thing you hear, I'm so tired. Yeah, because you don't have that constant stream of sugar flowing into your body. Your body's trying to re-regulate itself.
And your blood sugar drops because it has been sky high.
Yep, your blood sugar drops, you get tired, you're exhausted, you have headaches, you get cranky. You are coming off of an addiction and you don't even know it. It's the same thing with caffeine. That's why pop is so bad, because it's caffeine and sugar. And when you're coming off of both, when you're coming off a double addiction like that, it's exceptionally bad. Like, I know people who like they can't just go cold turkey off of pop. They'll have to actually slowly take themselves off of it because it affects them so much. And and the thing is, it's no different than like these covers where, we've become so complacent, and we've become so
comfortable.
Used to, like we've
too
become
comfortable.
So used to just this low effort, and people claim, well, it's minimalism, it's great, like, the tiny homes, the minimalistic lifestyle, you don't need all this stuff, you don't need anything, you don't need to own anything. It's insane. It's this slow erosion of ownership and identity, and you don't even realize it until you're hooked up to a caffeine and sugar machine straight to your veins because you need it, and you're consuming
it's a decline of personality too.
Yeah, and you're consuming whatever gets shoved down your throat, and it's just tragic. Adiga says normalizing the devolved as normal makes it worse than it makes what is worse seem acceptable. Reaching for excellence puts shame on that which is not striving for betterment. Exactly. And then Miss Martin, keys. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Keys.
Dangle the keys. It's what sells these days.
I hate this so much. And the reason I hate this so much is because look at what we had. Look at what we had. Look at the vibrancy and the color. And like, this is telling a story. This is
Phantus.
This is
the little dragon.
Yep. This is incredible. You've got the skull candle on the table. You've got you can actually see, I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if I can, hang on, let me see. Can you see the faces that are etched into the table? You see the infinity symbol there. You see his book, like what he's writing in. You have his symbols on his hat, the lightning in the background. Like, this is a scene right out of the book.
Yeah, chapter 1.
This pulls you into the story. This is incredible. And I am being told that this is outdated and unwanted, and that this is superior to this.
Check out the link I sent you, the first one.
So
it contains everything wrong with covers today.
So here is the fall.
Look at the top thing. Ad for the fucking TV show that has nothing to do with the books. But the rest is photoshopped. You see that? It's not like it's terrible to look at, but it's generic.
It's very it's generic girl in generic armor with generic staff on generic hill with generic, I don't even know what this is, a bay.
Yeah,
as opposed to
it's photoshopped.
Yes, as opposed to these.
Yeah, all these.
Like, look at this. These tell the scions of Shannara, the Druid of Shannara, the Elf Queen of Shannara, the Talismans of Shannara, the Elfstones of Shannara, the Wish Song of Shannara, Genesis of Shannara, the Sword of Shannara. Like, these tell a story. These are out of the book.
They're not in order, though.
I know. I realized that as I was reading them. I was like, whoo.
Yeah, I mean, the book. Yeah,
like, look at.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's terrifying. That's scary. I don't like it.
I think
But
it's a spider gnome.
yes, I know exactly what it is. But like, look at it. Like, you can see the detail. Nope. Get away from the spider gnome. You can see the detailing and just like there's so much time, and it's not like it's a little like here. Here we go. Here, this is the picture right here. All the rest of it is
Yeah.
black. This literally takes up the entire cover. The whole cover is the picture. It's the whole cover is the cover. It's part of it. Here we go. Sword of Shannara. You have the sword that they're staring at you like, what's going on here? Is somebody in like these are obviously an interesting set of characters. They're very distinguishable. They're easy to tell who is whom. Like why? I don't understand. This isn't outdated. If the art is what you have a problem with, then take that same art and make her hair a little bit more vibrant, or make this like you can actually see the shapes. Like, look at this.
Have you seen
so
the
intricate.
Have you seen the updated covers?
No, and I'm not gonna look. I refuse. I reject. I don't want them. I don't want them. The source material wasn't made for you. The source covers were not made for you. Go elsewhere if you have a problem. If this is your idea of art, get away from me, because this is not a cover. This is like, here's the thing. If you covered up this title and this author and you lined this up with other books, I wouldn't be able to tell what's what. I would never know. I would never hang on. I'm gonna.
It's not even art. It's a template.
It is. Like, you could line this up with other books that have keys on them, and of course now I can't find any with keys. Oh God. How do I have to do this? Here we go. Now swords I have less of an issue with, but it was easy. So bear with me. All right. Look at this. Like, if you covered up the titles, I'd never be able to tell you what is what. In fact, I think these two, the first book of swords, the second book of swords, look at that. These two are actually a set. But like, if you covered up the titles, you'd never know. You'd never know what these books are. Meanwhile, if you come over here, if you covered up the Talismans of Shannara, I would still know this is a different book than the Elf Queen of Shannara. I wouldn't know the titles, but I'd sure as heck know they were different books. Like, I'm at a loss.
Check out the two links I put in there.
You're rude. I hate this. Why'd you do this to me?
Do the look at this. This is the Landover books by Terry Brooks.
Yeah.
Looks pretty boring, doesn't it? Right?
I don't understand.
Check the next one out, which has the original covers for that series.
See what I mean? Yeah. Look at that.
See that? Which would you rather read?
Guys, this is outdated. This is outmoded. You don't want this anymore, right?
This is not for a modern audience.
Chrysanth, I know. It's because I hate them and Stig is cruel. That's why.
Well, I didn't do anything with the keys.
Yes, Boris Vallejo and Frank Frazzati were called artists for a reason.
Yes.
For a reason. This angers me.
And this is the same artist that did the Wheel of Time covers, I think. The original ones.
I believe you're correct. But here is the thing. When people are like, well, you can't actually tell me, what you're like, all of your things, it's just because you're this ist, or you're that ist, or you're this phobe, or you're that phobe. That's not actually the case. What I'm demanding is exceptionalism and excellence, because I know it's possible. I know we as humans are capable of it. Samuel the Infamous, the original cover of Wizard at Large, is one of your favorites ever. Yeah.
Look at that.
Pretty apparent as to why.
Have you read these books?
Like, that's metal. Like, here's the other thing too. Fantasy and metal are not that they're not mutually exclusive. Like, this is some really heavy stuff going on this
Have
cover.
Have you read this series?
No. I've read Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fun.
Yes.
Fun books.
Yes. And I'm I just don't understand how, because it wasn't made. This is the other thing. Just because it wasn't written or developed or put to screen 2 weeks ago does not mean it's bad. If anything, I'm not the one who has a superiority complex. It's you. I'm not the one who is uh, intolerant and unaccepting. It's you. You're the ones coming in and saying that the what that how you are isn't good enough. How these exist isn't good enough. I am going to fix them because I am the savior that they need. I don't have a savior complex. You have a savior complex. This is your problem. And if you don't like it, go away. I don't know how many other ways I can say it. This source material wasn't made for you. Get lost.
You
Go
know,
destroy something else.
you know that shot in the Lord of the Rings when Sauron holds up the ring after having forged it?
Mhm.
Don't tell me that's not a heavy metal album cover.
Oh, for 100%. The
It's
stuff,
metal as heck.
like the things. Here's the thing: Tolkien, after going through what he went through, there is no way. Like it, metal was organic. Tolkien is organic metal.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
hard.
Tolkien, Robert E. Howard, and Michael Moorcock. They're
Mhm.
heavy metal as heck
Yeah.
before there was heavy metal.
And it was organic. That was the thing about it. It was so organic because they actually experienced things and they actually lived life. And then they didn't try and rehash their horrors and their nightmares and their self inserts. They tried to create something out of that and make it better. Chrysanth, for some reason, I can't share it, but said, make book covers great again. Yes, please. And she's been a member at the fellowship level for 10 months. So thank you so much for that, Chrysanth. I genuinely
Well,
appreciate it.
I would add to that. Make book covers. Period.
Yeah, just make them.
Because that's not.
No,
Yeah, it's not happening, is it?
no, it's not. And
And
I'm
a side note of that is the people who do artwork like this, they're not getting jobs
no, they're not.
because some diversity hire with Photoshop skills gets hired before them
Yeah,
because
because that
he's
diversity hire is cheaper.
yeah.
You get what you pay for, and there's a reason that these companies are crumbling. And when we talk about it, so when we talk about timeless, so here is the definition of timeless based on the internet. So take it as you will. I do have the like printed dictionary definitions, but this is actually pretty close. Timeless, independent of time, eternal, seemingly unaffected by time, ageless. Uh, and we won't go to number 3 because that's not relevant to us, but it's done at an improper time, unreasonable, or untimely. That is not a very good definition of timeless, which is why
Well, I
I don't
would
like. But independent of time, it's eternal, it's ageless. Like
yeah.
it's not looking for these stories when they were written, when Lord of the Rings, when Wheel of Time, Magician's Apprentice, uh, King Killer Chronicles, Mistborn, Dritz, they weren't looking to correct the wrongs of this world. They were trying to give you an escape from them. People don't want lessons and morality and of this world. They don't want the complications of this world. They want an escape from it, even just for a moment or just a little while. And that's what those books attempted to achieve. And because they spoke to good versus evil, true love conquering all, trusting each other, loyalty, fellowship, fraternity, those those characteristics
Well,
etch in the human soul. And that's what makes these stories timeless. And
well,
and
I would say the timeless at its heart is relatability because it focuses on timeless themes that have been around in all ages of the world and in every corner of it, right? So the time and setting of a fantasy book are just props and the stage being used to tell the story. So you have love, you have good versus evil, happiness, sacrifice, all of these are timeless themes that every reader knows well from simply having been alive,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it once you uh, if your readers can't relate to the story, then it doesn't really matter how vague you're about the dates.
Yeah.
Your story instantly dates itself
Mm-hmm.
when you effectively build a wall instead of a bridge between your characters and your readers.
Mm-hmm.
So what's
Well,
happening now is you have modern day American politics
mm-hmm. Well,
inserted into stuff, which is irrelevant for someone in, you know, Uruguay or Hungary or
yeah,
Japan. So they
exactly.
can't relate to that shit. Plus, since it's current day politics, you also date it. It's
Mm-hmm.
dated 2023 in a fantasy
Yep.
world.
And that's why I hate these modern fantasies. Like they try to put it in the time travel is one of my least favorite tropes because they always try to start it like they put it in the modern world. And when I read Netflix and chill in a book, I want to rip my eyes out. Like, why are you putting Netflix and chill, or why are you putting, like it's different. So if it's like a murder mystery, a certain thing. So say there's like a kidnap victim, it's this little girl, and you rescue her, and it's like I put her down and I put on the Frozen movie. Okay, why didn't you just say that you put on cartoons as opposed to like why did you have to get so specific? Because now you will forever be in this tiny segment of time. It's going to be
Also,
very hard for
in
your story to carry on because you're making a modern pop culture reference. Because okay, perfect example, do you ever hear anyone say tubular anymore
no,
at
when
all?
as a side
Like
note, not every country has Netflix either.
that too. So not every country has Netflix. Not every country has Frozen either. Not Disney is not everywhere. I know that's shocking, but it's not as much as they would like to say that they are. Disney's not everywhere. So you've got you have all of these things um working against you, and and you're doing all of these things, and you're getting in your own way by by putting in something that has a very like it's not like this is a historical timepiece. Like it's not a period piece, where oh we're headed to the castle because King Edward III has summoned us. Okay, well yeah, that dates you, but it's supposed to be a period piece, so you're anticipating stuff like that, you know what I mean? As opposed to something where it's a pop culture reference, something that's not going to be popular in 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, nobody says, here's looking at you, kid. Very few people understand that reference that are 40 and under.
Oh,
Shot.
I get accused of being from the 1920s by Teresa and Mara because I keep saying happy chappy.
Yeah, there's slang that does not carry over. There's
Apparently it doesn't. I thought it was common.
I I have no idea. I don't know anybody that says happy chappy. But
Well, now you
that's
do.
but my point is there's timeless and then there's time stamped, and you're time stamping yourself and you're narrowing your window of existence very severely when you do things like that. I mean, you could have just because it's enough that there's a television involved, so obviously it's the modern age. Because I know this is going to shock y'all, but TVs have only been in homes since about the 1960s. like
Yep.
like family televisions were not a thing until about the 60s. That was not that long ago. That was about 60 years ago. That's not that long. That's less than a century. Same thing with refrigerators. Family refrigerators have only been a thing since about the 1950s. That's why when
Oh,
you see all these ads for in the, like those 50s ads, the reason that that was such a big thing is because of what they were able to do post World War II. The industrial age had really taken off. Like, I mean, the industrial revolution had already happened, but now we're talking about the assembly line, moving assembly line. It changed so much
Well, look at
And
home computers. Home
yeah,
computers weren't common until the early 90s. That's when they started becoming more
mid,
common.
I'd say mid 90s, honestly. I'd
Yeah,
say about
because yeah, they were expensive as heck
they were.
back then.
They were so expensive. And now you carry a computer in your pocket and you're talking that's 25, 30 years. That's 25, 30 years ago. That's
Yeah,
not that long. The amount technology moves so fast
and
now.
cell phones being common. That's like 20 years. Not everyone had a cell phone in the late 90s.
Yeah,
Or,
2007 was the invention of seven guys. You're huh?
I said cell
The I
phones.
Yeah. Yeah, 2007 was the iPhone, was the
Yeah,
smartphone.
yeah,
And because before that, the big thing was airplane phones and car phones. Like you still had a cord, it still needed a battery pack. You could take it out of the car and it would be part of a suitcase, and you'd have to pull up this giant antenna, but you could get a signal on it. And it's grown from there. And but people don't realize like smartphones, cell phones, 2007 was the iPhone. 2007. I don't think people realize we're talking, gosh, it's 2023, so we're talking 16 years ago.
yeah.
16 years ago. Less than 2 decades was the smartphone.
I
This
mean,
is
being able to watch videos on the phone, that's actually not too
no,
long.
that's only that's only recently within like the last 7 years, about about 2015, 2016 is when that was possible. So that's why Cyber Monday is a thing, you guys, because people didn't have internet at home. And it's just, yeah, we had phones before iPhones, Aunt Baz. I was actually just or is it Aunt Bay's 97, sorry. But yeah, cell phones were a thing, but that's what I'm saying. The smartphone, the iPhone was 2007. The smartphone was 2007.
Yeah, and here's another thing: being able to play video games online with a friend on your phone,
Yeah.
also fairly new,
That,
which nobody thought was possible in the
yeah.
90s.
No way. Like it was like what we've accomplished is mind blowing, but we are taking
You
it
know
all
what's
for
even more
granted.
mind blowing? The fact that we now have what's essentially a supercomputer in our hand,
Yeah.
which is the phone, right?
Yeah.
And we have access to all the knowledge in the world on that little handheld device.
All the
And
knowledge
people,
that has ever existed, like not just
yeah,
modern knowledge, like all the knowledge that has ever existed that has been cataloged in mankind,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
access to it in your pocket.
yeah, and
You have access to generational knowledge from multiple cultures in your
well,
pocket.
and what do people use them for? They make funny faces on TikTok.
Yep.
That think about that. All the information in the world is ready for you. You can learn anything you want, and then people spend time making funny faces on TikTok. That's how
Hmm.
peak
You get
retardation of the human
I wouldn't
race.
even say I wouldn't say that that's what it is. I would say it's proof positive that there's a reason that large amounts of power are able to be held by few people, because a vast majority of people are easily distracted and they misunderstand when they're given great power, they don't know what to do with it. So they misuse it. That's what, like, that phone in your pocket, like, I'm not saying, and here's the thing, I'm not saying you can't do it, but
It's
the
a
the
it's the main
injustice that
thing
you're
though.
yeah, the injustice that you're doing to yourself is, if it wasn't so tragic, it would be hilarious. But there's no reason. I mean, we were locked down. Some places are still locked down, but like the world was locked down for 10 months. The world was locked down for 10 months.
You know what I did?
And and
I read books.
yeah, but I mean, you could have intent like, do you know what you can do in 10 months with access to the, like, you could have learned a new skill. You could have learned how to cook. You could have learned uh leather work.
Go,
You could have learned how to blow glass. You could have learned how to blacksmith. You could have ordered the parts. You could have started a blacksmithing business. You could have learned how to sew. You could have learned how to.
You could have gotten an education.
You could have gotten an education. You could have done architectural engineering classes. You could have done all of these things. And most people use that time to
play video games,
get lost, to escapism. They wanted to get out of the hell that they were in. So rather than there's this story that I got told when I was very, very young by a man that I respect greatly. And he told me that you have 2 types of people, but 3 types of prisoners. So you have the people who go to jail, the 2 types of people in the world. You have the people who know they're in jail, and the people who never figure out that they're in jail, right? So it's kind of like whether you see the Matrix or not, right? He goes, but the 3 types of prisoners are the ones who despair and shrivel up in a corner and try to deny where they're at. The second tries to escape without much success. They know they're stuck, and they continue to try and find new ways to escape, because if one way didn't work, then maybe this way will. So they never stick with one plan for very long, but the goal is always to escape, right? So the third person is the one who uses the cell and the time to their advantage, so that they become the warden of the prison. And that particular individual are the ones who reshape the world, because they recognize their circumstance for what it is. They don't deny it like the first prisoner, and they don't try to blindly run down any alley that might be an escape either. They study, they learn, they assess, and then they bring it down around them. And they become transformed in that. And so no other prison would ever be able to hold them. And they know this. And that's a very dangerous person. But it's also the person who you want in your corner, or who you want to be a leader, because they are the person who is going to get you out of whatever it is you are in, or they are the one who will make sure that when the dust settles, there's something that you're able to rebuild with. And I always really liked that story. I never really understood it when I was a kid, but now recognizing just how powerful the internet is and what we have access to, there's no reason why anyone, especially in America, can't be anything that they want to be, why they can't be exceptional, outside of simply being lazy. It's not even fear at this point.
No, they basically play the victimhood to have an excuse not to do it.
They're just lazy. And, people are like, oh, that's harsh, or like not everybody can do it. There's an individual who was born with one arm, and it's not even a fully developed arm, and no legs. And he's a successful stand-up comedian.
You know what?
I don't know.
That reminds me. There was one guy with no arms and no legs, and he was in a swimming pool. Do you know what his name was?
What?
Bob.
Oh my God. You and your dad jokes, Stig. Good Lord. But what I'm saying is you have literally got the world in your pocket, and you can become anything. But yeah, it's obviously going to take effort. It's going to take a change on your part. Maybe you have to stay up a little later, or instead of watching, I don't even know what's popular anymore. Instead of watching Stranger Things, you start learning about, the 5 basic types of glass blowing that you can master, so that you can grow into these other mastery skills. Or maybe you want to learn, today on Twitter, oh gosh, who was it? Someone shared like how to grow potatoes out of a bucket. Like there's so much for everything everywhere. And right now you have access to it. I strongly suggest before you don't anymore, you do something with it. Like learn how to self-publish, learn how to draw, learn basic shapes, like how to draw basic shapes that you can, improve on that and become something better. There's so the possibilities are literally endless, and it's just up to your imagination. But if you never put in the time, or if you're like the second prisoner and you can't commit to anything for very long because you get frustrated and you're impatient, then you're never going to see the fruits of your labor. Someone else will.
Check the private chat. It's the cover stuff has happened to other writers now too. One who's rather popular these days.
Okay. So here is A Feast for Crows, George R. R. Martin.
Book 4. Great cover, right? Pretty good. It's a scene from the book, and
it looks like a dragon's head.
Yeah, look at the.
What is this? Is this King's Landing?
No. It's not King's Landing. Harrenhal, maybe. I don't know. Jamie Lannister on the cover, though.
Okay. King's Landing is like the only thing I know.
Oh.
Okay. And then there's this.
Yeah.
That's a cup.
Yep. Tense, surging, insomnia inflicting. Yeah, it looks to be like that with a cup, doesn't it?
Is that the sun?
It's supposed to be, maybe it's the sigil of one of the houses that has a sun, but not really.
Is there anything to do with a cup in A Feast for Crows?
Nope.
Cool. So we're just gonna keep putting random stuff on covers. Excellent.
Yeah. Why not just have a damn wolf? There's wolves in it. Put a wolf on the cover. But yeah, it's happening to Martin as well.
But I mean, he honestly, he helped make some of this stuff what it is. Like I don't have much sympathy for these writers right now who are out there whining and picketing, because you've churned out insufferable writing, insufferable products. You do not deserve. If I do a bad job at my profession, I don't get to picket them and demand a raise. No, I get fired, because that's what happens when you do a bad job. You get fired.
It's the script writers, though, isn't it? It's not novelists.
I have no idea. It's all writer. It's the
it's not.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it's not Feist and Brooks. Or
no,
anything,
I'm not talking about them. They're actual authors. I'm talking about these writers who are on strike, who can't even adapt. Like they can't even adapt material that already exists effectively.
You know what I saw when they had an interview with the guy who wrote the script for Star Wars Episode 9, where they had that hidden fleet. Next to him on the desk, as he was writing and being interviewed, he had the Thrawn trilogy novels, which has a hidden fleet in it.
Yep.
He was literally sitting there ripping off novels.
Yep.
And that's his talent, right? Just go through. He probably went through the book and just used a magic marker, right?
I don't know.
I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. This sounds cool.
Probably just did Cliff's Notes, or they I wouldn't even say they watched a couple of YouTube videos, because I feel like that's too much research. They probably had someone else watch YouTube videos, be like, "What did you like out of it?" "Oh, well, here's what they said happened in this EU book. Cool, we'll use it, and we'll just say that we just came up with it." I'm sure that's somewhat of what happened. But my point is these writers who are demanding higher pay and demanding that they get all these extra incentives. You've done nothing in, I would argue, the past decade, with very few exceptions. You've done nothing in the past decade to earn any of that. And it's so uninspiring. And they want to sit there and complain about GPT or whatever, or AI chat. And here's the thing. If a computer can be more imaginative than you, because a computer can't be, how can I put this? a computer cannot be smarter than the people who program it, because it's only going to learn, it's only going to be able to do what it's programmed to do, right? And so you have to program it for that purpose. So if a computer appears to be more creative than you, that's on you. It's not on the computer, it's on you. And to utilize AI writing or AI generators for your writing as a crutch, then there's a reason that it all looks the same. There's a reason it all sounds the same. It's because computers are limited. They do not have imaginations. Humans do. That's why the Wheel of Time is so different from Lord of the Rings, which is so different from the Magician, which is why that's so different from Drizzt, which isn't anything like the Kingkiller Chronicles, which isn't anything like the any of Sarah Douglas's.
Well, speaking of the Kingkiller Chronicles, that guy has actually spent longer releasing a book than George Martin, but by a few months.
Yeah,
and he hasn't even done a video game or plays or a TV show. He's done nothing.
Yep. Which means
just hanging around with Will Wheaton.
But the whole idea behind this is, you know, we're told that the source material is bad. We're told that it needs to be updated for modern audiences. We're told that beauty is oppressive and evil and unfair and, you know, offensive. Like, beauty is offensive. That's what we're being told.
Yeah, because here's a bizarre thing. Really bizarre. Conan, right? Robert E. Howard, written in the 20s, released in the early 1930s. Predates Tolkien. And absolutely toxic masculinity. And, you know, women are either warriors, sluts, or someone who needs rescuing. You know, he's been left alone. They haven't wokeified Conan.
No, they can't. It's impossible. And
it's ground zero, and he's not even the writer is not even being attacked.
No, and Netflix is no longer developing the Conan series. Like, there might be a movie, but that, like, Conan, I would argue, because of its structure and the way that it's written, it's dang near impossible to.
No, because they have done it to Red Sonja, which takes place in the same world.
Yeah, but that's Red Sonja. That's not Conan. Like, there's no way you can. His name is literally Conan the Barbarian. You can't make him a sissy boy, because then he's not a barbarian. Like, he is a very specific character that I think, as of right now, they haven't figured out how to deconstruct, and thank God for that.
They did it to Indiana Jones just now, though.
Yeah, I know.
And they've done it to James Bond and Han Solo.
Yep.
So it's entirely possible to do it with Conan, have him be bisexual or some kind of stupid crap.
What I'm saying is they've not figured out a way to do it.
Yep.
They haven't figured out a way, and I hope they don't figure out a way, because they just need to leave him alone. But all of that aside, I can't help but sit here and be like, why are you scared of? Here's the thing. Why are you scared? Why is anybody scared of being called a name? Like, being called a racist used to actually not be a good thing. If it's like, oh my gosh, you're such a racist. Okay, well, now if you say that the Veiled Virgin is beautiful art, and the weird teepee tree looking stuff is not, well, you're so oppressive, you're so racist. The artist spent time on that. Okay, well, you know what? People can spend time cooking meals. That doesn't make those meals delicious. Trust me, I have eaten my fair share of dog crap. Like, it's not good food. Just because they spent 45 minutes making it does not make it a masterpiece. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why people insist on, if someone, you know, took the time to do it, then we should be respectful of that. F that noise. Okay, you took the time to do it, but you didn't do it well. Like, oh, yep, we spent 2 days fixing this road. There's still a giant pothole in the middle, but you know, We made it look pretty at least. Just go around it. No, you didn't do your job. You didn't do it well. I don't care that you were there for 2 days.
You can see it very well with Star Wars, because people are like, well, at least it wasn't as bad as the sequel trilogy or something. So the bar is set at 1, so you're accepting a 2 out of 10 as gold. That's the audience's fault.
Yep. But it's not even, that's the thing too. It's the selected audience. Like the mainstream media, oh my gosh, if you think that they are objective or honest, you have lost your minds, because we saw it in this review, in this very first review of The Wheel of Time. Freaking Chrysanth said it. 3 people thought that it was amazing. Therefore, everybody thinks it's amazing.
Yeah.
A third person agreed, writing The Wheel of Time is escapism at its finest. It's just so well done. So they found 3 positive comments, and now suddenly it's all the fans of the novel have commented on the series, and they're all saying the same thing. No, we're not. We're not a collective. We all have our own opinions. A lot of people had very negative opinions about Wheel of Time, but it got brushed under the rug very quickly because Trop came thrumming along, and that was a disaster like none other. And the idea that because I didn't like the Wheel of Time series means that I'm, bigoted or closed-minded, or I hate anybody who isn't white, is just insane on its face, because that means you haven't actually read the books and you don't understand what's actually in them.
You want to hear something funny? They had 3 people, right, that were Wheel of Time fans that praised this show. 3 people. How many copies of the books do you think have sold so far? Because I'm looking at the number.
172.
172 copies of the books?
Yep.
88 million copies. That's right, 80 million copies.
With the Amazon cover?
No, the Wheel of Time books in general.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the Amazon cover.
So the whole series has earned 80. It has sold 80 million copies.
Yeah.
It's been translated to 37 languages.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 people say the show is good.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 out of 88 out of 80 million.
Yeah, 3 people out of 80 million, and it's just insane on its face that you're going to take 3 comments and you're going to extrapolate from that everybody who watched the show absolutely loved it.
My bad. The number is updated. It's 90 million now.
There you go. So it's just, I don't know. I have a profound dislike for this sample size when I know it's genuinely dishonest. Like they didn't go, they were seeking confirmation bias. They were not seeking actual honest opinions and feedback. Because if that's what they were looking for, then this article wouldn't sound like this at all. This
is twisted, though. I'm seeing an article by Business Insider saying Amazon's Wheel of Time was the biggest new series in the US in 2021. I'm like, no. How is that even possible? I'm looking at articles right now. The shilling is insane.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I lived it. I went through it. And I'm going to cover it again because I'm going to do in case you forgot videos about it for sure. But my point on this is when the outlets that you normally turn to for objectivity or discernment or some type of, sounding board, when it is at such a dissonance with what is at your core, something's wrong. So now you suddenly feel like you're the crazy one. Like that's the other thing that they are driving people towards. They make you want to think that you're the crazy one. Nobody else thinks the way that you're thinking, which is why they hate Twitter and YouTube and any toxic fan, because you're causing
Anyone with standards is considered toxic.
Well, it's not even that. It's just anybody who calls this out for what it is and now has some type of a voice is evil, and they're hated because people are turning away from the shill bought off mainstream media, and they're going towards these other people. Because the thing about YouTube, it's massive. There's room for everybody on this platform, outside of, the obvious sycophants who need to go in wood chippers. But that aside, there's anybody can come on this platform. You can talk about whatever you want to. And so someone can come up here and they can type in Wheel of Time review, and you might get Den of Geeks and you might get Disbrew, you might get both. So you can watch what you want, and then you can make a determination for yourself. You can be like, well, I watched it, and then you can listen to Den of Geeks, and then you can listen to Disbrew or me or whomever and be like, okay, obviously these people are sane because I have eyes and I have ears and I watched that thing and I know it's not what Den of Geeks is saying that it is. And I don't know that Den of Geeks necessarily did anything against it. It's just they're the ones that popped into my head. But whomever it is, I just, there's now the capability for you to realize that, hey, I'm not crazy. It's not just me. There is a problem here. And we actually, the press isn't doing its job. They're not speaking for us. This isn't this is not Clark Kent in the Daily Planet. This isn't Lois Lane in the Daily Planet anymore. So now we're going to have to fight for ourselves, because the press is no longer the voice of the people. They are colluding with the hobnobs and the bigwigs. There you go. There's my 1920s slang. But I know you shared another. I'll share it really quick. But here's the upcoming book 4 cover for Wheel of Time versus the original. So again, we have color, we have depth, we have a scene, we have interest and intrigue, as opposed to
someone with a.
I don't even know what that
It's supposed to be Matt with a bladed spear.
is. That what that is? I can't even tell. Hold on.
Yeah, the two crows, and then the tree. Totally didn't steal Odin in that one. Actually, gets hanged, loses an eye, and then gets knowledge.
Lord have mercy on my soul. But as opposed to this,
look at the light from the fire.
Like, there's more contrast and light and soul in this paint, in this picture, than there was when we watched the like, as opposed to look at how dark the trailer is when we're in look at this. Like, this is so muted. This isn't a beacon. This isn't shining bright. There's more light coming from this fire than there is from the sun. It's just a travesty, but I digress.
Have you ever seen the full painting?
No.
There you go. This is the full painting of the book cover.
I'm okay.
Because some of it is actually on the back of the book too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this was the standard for book covers back then. And now we get that shit that I just showed you. Yeah, guy in front of a tree with a
2 birds. That's the other thing that's on covers, those cups and birds. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yes, so we have definitely, standards have fallen, and the thing is, the mainstream media
standards have been allowed to fall by the customers.
No, not by the customers, by the companies. And because
but the customers keep paying for shit.
The customers are going to buy things that they think are going to be good because they used to be good. That's the trap that's being set. So no, it's not. It wasn't on the customers before because, hey, it used to be exceptional. It used to be great. this author or this publisher used to turn out really good stuff, so I'm going to go back to them. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
What
but look at Disney Star Wars though. How many shit products do they have to release before the paying audience gets it?
No,
Because
that's
people have been complaining about Star Wars since episode 8, and they're still paying for every damn product and
episode.
whining about every product.
I was complaining about it since the first 17 minutes into episode 7 when
Yeah,
when they called the Millennium Falcon a piece of junk. And here's the thing. Rey may not have known what the Millennium Falcon is, even though she later admits she's like, she's the one that realizes it's the Millennium Falcon. But I will go down this road one more time. I'm gonna have to actually do this, but do a review, mention this at some point. But Finn, being a stormtrooper, would have known what class and what type the Millennium Falcon was. And so even if that hadn't been the Millennium Falcon, he would have recognized the class of ship and he would have instantly known what it was. And he would have been like, okay, so this is obviously a possibility that this could be the Millennium Falcon, because when you are in any type of military anything, symbols are very powerful. So you're going to want to, in order to discourage your enemy, you're going to want to destroy them, which funnily enough is what's currently happening in modern day with our stories and our lore and our book covers and our art. But I digress. We've just had a whole stream talking about that. But what I will say is that at that point, there's no reason that Finn shouldn't have at least suspected that that was the Millennium Falcon, because there's no way that that wasn't an integral part of his training. They were up against the rebellion. It is a symbol of the rebellion and of hope. Ergo, you want to destroy it to.
it was also involved with blowing up both Death Stars.
Both Death Stars. There's no way he would not have recognized that for what it was. And for them, and everybody's like, oh, well, it's a loop. I hate that so much. It's a loop. It's a callback to when Luke called it a hunk of junk in episode 4. Okay, but that was before any kind of acclaim outside of it can do the parsec run, it can do the castle run in 12 parsecs. But that was Han Solo bragging about something he had done. Now he actually helped destroy Death Stars. He came in and he saved Luke at the end. He helped he helped instrumentally in bringing about the downfall of the Empire with the Millennium Falcon.
And Han Solo was a general.
Yes. So now that ship is famous. So for them to say, to call the Millennium Falcon a piece of garbage was downright disrespectful. And I told anybody that would listen, I'm like, this is a sign of things to come. I mean, they freaking stabbed Han Solo through the stomach, but I literally, the second they called that thing garbage, I'm like, this is not good. This is bad. I don't know what's happening, but this is not what this is supposed to be. And my instincts were dead on. I'm not trying to brag on myself, but it was pretty apparent from the second that they called the Millennium Falcon a piece of garbage that this was going to go downhill quick, and that they hated everything that came before and they thought they were superior. And look at where they are now. They had to close down their Galactic Star Cruiser. They claim the reason that they're no longer expanding Disney World in Florida is because of the beef with DeSantis, but I think that's just a scapegoat. That's just my humble opinion. So they're running out of money. And they can't keep getting bailouts because eventually the taxpayer is going to get pissed. And they have lost a ton of customers. Now, if people would just get their physical media so they can have their fix that way and then leave Disney alone and stop buying the merch and stop buying into the nostalgia bait, we would be in a much better situation than we currently are. That's not where we're at right now.
Basically, so if you're telling people on YouTube to boycott, you better boycott yourself too.
Exactly. There are ways to if you really need to see a show, like if you really want to see The Little Mermaid from the cringe, there are ways to tactically acquire it on the high seas. You don't have to give someone money to do it. I'm not endorsing that. I'm just saying it's possible.
Speaking of the high seas, do you know what Jack Sparrow yelled when he spotted Amber Heard on the beach?
No.
Land ho.
Oh my God.
Come on, that
But
was good. That was a good
that
one.
was good. That was a good one.
It was.
Yes, Charlie Stevenson. In my former career, falsifying facts and reports was a criminal act. Yeah. Chrisant says, in my line of work, falsifying data like that is called fraud and it's fireable. Yes, these people, not only are they not being held to standards of exceptionalism.
Chapek is in trouble for it.
Yeah.
For having lied about the Disney Plus numbers.
Yeah, for lying about the streaming numbers. Absolutely. It was a big grift. Like, I laugh so hard when people are like, you're just a grifter. You're not a real fan. You're a fake fan. I bet you don't even know what you're talking about. I bet you've never read any of these books, even though I can name literal scenes out of specific books. But that's neither here nor there. I'm the grifter, yet you've got multi-billion-dollar industries lying about their actual profits and their actual numbers and their actual customer base. That, my friends, is a grift. When you do a shell game, when you're shifting numbers around, that is a grift. I can't even fathom how warped in the head you have to be to think that someone trying to stand up for the integrity of a story that they love is somehow hateful, but you wanting to change that story to get what you want is somehow righteous. It's such a twisted logic that you truly must be lost to have that type of mindset. And I pity you. I truly do. And I hope you see the light. But on that happy note, Stig, is there anything you want to plug?
Teresa's channel.
There you go.
Not this Saturday, but the next one, we're continuing the Magician. We're starting a Magician Master, which is the second book, which is also the second half of the first book because they got combined later on. And this is the last book we're reviewing as well, chapter by chapter. So, it will also be the 10th book. So we're ending on a good number.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And other than that, no, don't think so. Going to be. I don't do YouTube much anymore.
I know you don't, and I understand it. But so thank you so much for coming on. It's always fun, even if we do. I know we don't. I know we don't agree on everything, but
that's perfectly fine because if two people agree 100%, you'll never have a discussion. Exactly. And discussions can be interesting.
Indeed they can. Indeed they can. Well, tomorrow I will be playing Halo against Mazza. I'm not sure the time yet. We're going to figure that all out. But he and I are finally going to get our Halo match in. And it's been a minute, so I'm actually really excited. I wonder if I'm going to be able to slip right back in. It'll be interesting to find out. And so Halo stream tomorrow. I may also have another stream tomorrow. I'm trying to get video out on Friday, and I will be on Miss Martin's channel on Friday. And we are going to be having a very interesting discussion, but I will save that for a surprise because it's something that I'm actually really passionate about and I'm genuinely looking forward to. So definitely tune into Miss Martin Muse's channel at 6 p.m. Central on Friday.
I've actually made a contribution to that one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You'll find out near the end.
Oh, yay. Mazza cheats, be careful. Yeah, I've watched him play. He does like to cheat, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Maybe I'll just take it easy on him and let him win so he can have it for his ego. Just kidding. Or am I? But thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. It means the world. Thank you for the super chat, Miss Martin. I know you've ducked out. And Calgy, thank you for the donation over on the donation side. And Chrysanth for the membership message. It meant the world. Everybody in chat, you guys are, as always, amazing. Thank you so much for stopping by. I genuinely appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. It's something that, I think really does hit home for a lot of us and is really important. So God bless, Godspeed.